Okay, so here it is, May 5th, I guess. I'm not really sure what the date is, but it's a beautiful, beautiful evening. It's going to be a big full moon tonight. Already have a fabulous sunset going on high up on the flanks of Mount Royal. And tonight I'm going to do just a little, I don't know, little thing about everything that I'm bringing up here on these little sojourns to the mountain. There's the pack, there's the fire pit, and behind me, 180 degrees, down in that little bowl there, is where I usually hang. So we'll set stuff up and go from there. Right, so here's what we got. Everything packs into the Talon 44 backpack. That weighs, I'm not sure what that weighs. It's about 2 pounds and some. The red cloth there is a space blanket, so it has a reflective finish on the other side. I use that to sleep on between the 2 layers of my hammock because I foolishly gave my son my beautiful underquilt, so I don't have that. So with that, I use this ridge rest sleep pad. Up top, I have a merino wool cap that I wear. Right here, below the cap, is my tarp that I made. It's a hex tarp made out of plastic, and should be really nice tonight with a full moon. Below that, I have a GSI Pinnacle Soloist set that I've modified to my liking. We'll get into that later. I've shown some videos on that already. Right there is the double layer hammock. It's a 1.3 ounce ripstop nylon with Amsteel whoopee slings, fixed ridge line. Above that is the bug net, which I probably won't need tonight. 2 bottles of water. I don't need that much, but I thought, what the heck, I'll bring it. Below that is food for tonight and tomorrow morning, pair of eyeglasses, a big knife. I love the big knife. That's the Becker B2K. Did a convex edge on that and just put a nice little orange handle on it. Cheap, 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 cheap. Black diamond headlamp. And last is my underquilt, which is made from Insultex insulation, 2 layers, quilted, and we'll get into that too. So more to come. Alright, so there's a shot of the hammock and the tarp. Tarp's still in the snakeskin. I got the head of the hammock over there, just a tad bit lower than the foot. Keeps me from sliding down during the night. And we'll have a look at the setup over here. Okay, so I have a marlin spike hitch on the tree strap, which is a 3/4 inch polyester. Yeah, polyester webbing. And I just have a bowline tied on the other end there that's looped through. This is the Amsteel whoopee sling, one on each end, obviously. And the tarp, I just have a nylon cord with a cheapo carabiner holding it there. And in the other end, I have a secured with a taut line hitch. So we'll slide this open. Let's see how this looks. It's been a while since I had this out. It's been in the rain, it's been in the snow. Let you see the snakeskin just slides right off there. Beautiful, love it. So we'll set that up and have a look-see. Stand by. Alright, so there's the view of the tarp setup. Walk around and have a peek. It's nice and tight. You get an idea for how it's put together. You can see the structural tapes. There's one that goes all the way around the perimeter, and then there's this piece of tape runs over the top and down to the opposite corner, and same over here. So you have a series of triangles. The ridge line runs under the tarp. All the tape is on the underside, so the ridge line does not chafe on the plastic, it chafes on the tape, which is a 2-inch clear duct tape, which has a high UV resistance factor. I don't have it centered the way it should be, so I'm gonna have to probably do a little readjusting. Just in a hurry, trying to catch what I can before the light fades. But that's the setup. The tie outs, there's 4, 1 on each corner. And what I do is I just follow that line of the tape straight down to the ground, so it gives it a nice tight pitch. It's beautiful. And so I'll be able to see the moon overhead tonight. Should pass right over me there. Wonderful. More to come. Okay, so there it is, readjusted. That took all of about a minute and a half. It's perfect. As I said, this has been in the rain, it's been in the snow, it's hung up for a few days, it's worked amazingly well, and it cost me $10. So here's the Hammock's eye view from with the tarp. It's easy to see underneath. This is definitely a fair weather tarp. I have it pitched pretty high above the hammock, so it could come down a lot more if it needed to. But I like this because I can see out. It's nothing like the man cave tarp. And when you look up, you can see the trees. This thing is gonna be able to read the newspaper tonight through this with the moon out. And so far there are very, very, very few clouds on the horizon. Should be fab. Sorry about the camera motion. I don't have a steady cam. Now before it gets too dark, I just wanted to show this top quilt. This is another DIY project of mine. It's basically just a blanket, a simple blanket that's been made of 2 layers of Insultex insulation, which is a synthetic. It's very thin, very lightweight. It also floats, works even when it's wet. The lower 24 inches of the top quilt just has a Velcro attachment, so this goes from like the back of my knees, and the end is just a draw cord. Foot box, which I can leave open a little bit to let air vent through, or close it up when it's really cold. And I've had this down to -5 in the setup that I have, not with this tarp, but with the man cave tarp. So this works fairly well. I'm 6'1", and I can have it pulled up all the way over the top of my head with a wool cap on and some long underwear and 2 pairs of socks. I'm good. Tonight it's only going to be down to not even minus. It's going to be like 5-6 degrees tonight, so it'll be really, really nice weather for sleeping. No wind at all. There's some mountain bike riders that ride the trail. They keep passing through. They come from up there and just go down the top of this ridge, past the cemetery, on down. So I expect I'll see some of those guys tonight. Anyway, before it gets too dark, we ought to collect up some firewood and get this little fire pit ready. This thing's a champ. It's been great. So it's there, and I sit with my back against these rocks here, which is a nice heat reflector. Never had to get the space blanket out or anything to keep warm here. This is plenty. And make some tea, listen to the planes fly overhead, and watch the city from up above. Yes, not too shabby. Okay, just a few words about this kit that I have. It's a GSI Pinnacle Soloist. It has this plastic lid, which I do not like, and GSI tells me they're going to send me another one of these that's more durable, more recent one. On top I have a lighter because I don't need necessarily to do anything with this right now, but I want to be able to make a fire, so I like to keep that on top. Inside, I have a couple of things. I always have a couple of rags handy. I like this because it's a non-stick pot. I have a windscreen for a alcohol stove, and if I just just need to make a little breakfast or something, I have this just a tin can, just your basic hobo stove that sits right on top of. It's really nice. It's just a twig burner. It doesn't use a lot of wood. It doesn't take as long to get that going as it does to get that going. So then inside, excuse me, there is a insulated mug with a sleeve here. Sippy lid, love that. Inside I have the trusty alcohol burner, fuel, a pot stand for the burner. That's just a little, what do they call that, wire cloth screen. Right? And that just sits there, and then the pot sits directly on top of that. There. Oh, she's fighting me. Okay, so that sits like that. Pot sits right on top, and then I can just wrap this screen around it, windscreen to. I don't like to use that unless I absolutely have to. It's nice in the morning, hanging in the hammock. You can make a cup of tea using this and not have to get out of bed. I really like that a lot. And that's pretty much the mess kit right there. A couple of extra lighters, always a few extra lighters, a few extra rags, because you just never know. And it has this bag that it comes in is waterproof, and you can actually use it as a bowl, or what I've done is use it to store water in, since I don't like to use this over the pot when I'm cooking on this thing. That just sits right on top there, so it's a nice little gizmo, nice little setup. Very sweet, very light. This, by the way, is not something I bought. I've mentioned this before. This was a gift. It's like $40, and I just don't have $40 to spend on a pot. So that's what we got. That's what we're set up with, and it's time to have some fun. Stay tuned.